Hey, what's going on, good people? It's your boy James Harris, founder of Mental Heal, author of Man Just Express Himself. Listen, I just want to tell you guys thank you so much for the love that you continue to show me on the movement, the book, and of course now this new YouTube channel. You guys definitely did your thing with liking, sharing, subscribing. Make sure you continue to do that. I definitely appreciate you. I didn't anticipate it to grow as rapidly as it did, but we are here. So with that being said, I will be introducing a new segment that I'll be interviewing different men throughout the community as well as in different places. And I wanted to do this so you guys can not only just hear my voice and the lessons that I provide for you guys on different knowledge and subject, but I thought it would be an interesting way for other men to tell their story of resilience and their road to their wellness journey. So we're going to be talking in these interviews about mental health, physical health, relationships, substance use recovery, early detection, different societal norms, relationships, athletes and mental health, maybe politics and mental health, and the stressors that's coming from that. And also masculinity. We might dive into that as well. So it's so many amazing men who have reached out that are open to tell their story. So, I'm gonna put something together, man. One Tuesday out of the month. I think it'll be interesting for you guys to hear that dynamic. So be willing and open to listen. I hope you guys continue to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you do that. Make sure you also get the book. Go support. With that being said, the guest that I got coming up is.
What's up, everybody? My name is Pervis Taylor III. I am an award-winning celebrity life coach, speaker, guest lecturer, and author of the book Survival Mode. It's a book that teaches men of color how to process and navigate through their emotions and mental health. I'm also co-founder of Alchemic Solutions. It's a program that's based here in New York City that's partnered with the City University of New York system that teaches young men of color how to develop and cultivate emotional intelligence. And I've been working in this space of coaching and mental health advocacy for 10 years, over 10 years. And I love what I do.
Hey, I definitely appreciate you for coming out. I'm glad you accepted the invitation. I got familiar with you because we were on maybe one or two panels together. Then, of course, the social media thing, we continue to stay in contact. You do a fascinating work. I'm definitely to be acquainted with you and, be able to exchange dialogue with you in many different settings. So break it down. What is life coaching and why would one need it?
Um, it's funny. So if you ask like a million life coaches, you're gonna get a million different answers. But my definition of life coaching is to help a person build while they are healing in an aspect of them going to therapy. So like my objective as a life coach is to get you on a maximized journey, regardless of what has happened to you. Like I still feel like you should be building, even as you're processing or going through whatever issues you may have in life, because my belief is that if you can build something, then you can transfer those skills over into the other areas of your life that need healing. You get what I'm saying? So like I'm all about you achieving and maximizing and thriving in the midst of everything else happening.
So how would you say? So for a backstory,
Mhm.
again, like right now, Clubhouse is popping,
Yeah.
and a lot of life coaches, whether they're certified or self-proclaimed, are using that title, and now some are even using it interchangeably with therapy therapists. So what would you say? Is did you get certified, or what's the steps to become a life coach?
Yeah, I've been certified. I've definitely been certified. I also have a master's in clinical psychology. So like I feel like that helps a little bit in the way that I approach coaching. Um I wanted to be a life coach because I feel like I have more freedom as opposed to traditional therapy. I get to put a lot of my story and things that I've experienced into my coaching. So like if I'm challenging a client of mine to do something that they've never done before, I'll take it back to a time in my life where I had to do the same thing. And so for me, it's again, it's about leading them towards a maximization of their lives. Now, this clubhouse situation, I'm a life coach for real. You know what I mean? I've been doing it for 10 years and I've helped people really to become their best version of themselves and really achieve and attain and break through limiting beliefs and all those things like that. I do feel in some regards it is a component of therapy because I think therapy is the exchange of thought and working through and processing, but we got to apply those things. And I'm more of the person to help you apply, to help you to build, to get to where you need to get to.
Awesome. So you got the certification in life coaching. You got a master's in the mental health side of things, but you didn't want to pursue the licensure for the mental health side.
Right.
Okay. All right. Cool. Amazing things you're doing. I noticed that you got the blue check over there on your socials. So you're doing some well, man. I'm glad to see you prospering in what it is that you're doing.
Thank you.
So if one was looking for a life coach or a therapist, how can they distinguish between the two?
Well, I think about therapists in terms of like if there's some mental things going on, if there's like depression, if there's some things that you've had for a long time, ADHD, like if there's some trauma and all those things like that, I think therapy is the thing for you. For you come see me while they're seeing you, James, because I'm going to help you to build something while you're working through that. Because I think that they need to go together. Actually, I think part of the reason I think people get therapy and then it's like, what next? You know what I mean? So like healing. So I believe that you're supposed to heal forward and heal towards something. And so I'm the towards something and you're the healing aspect of it.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I guess both of them are a process. Both
Yeah.
of them is, the individual has to do the work and they have to want it. So regardless if they're saying you or me, it doesn't really matter if they're not actually working or trying to obtain something for themselves. So if you can break it down though, like if one had if somebody came to you and you felt they were better suited to see a therapist, what would you do in that instance?
Bro, I pass off people so fast. I hit up, especially if they're like, because now you guys can be and it's not necessarily therapy, it's more psychological coaching now. I guess that's the terminology. You can't, if they're not in your state, but I pass off people so fast. Like if somebody, where are you in Virginia?
Yeah.
Right. So if I have somebody in Virginia, I'm like, oh, here's James. Send it off to James. Maryland, Bechet. Like, you know what I mean? I have so many therapists that I know, like I will pass them off so fast because I know my lane.
Definitely. So I'm the same way. Like I'm in Virginia, and I try not to go beyond my jurisdiction based on sanctions and everything. I fall under ACA, under the LPC criteria and stuff like that. But I know some people avoid those or not even pay attention to them. They see clients in different states. Now, whether they can or not, that's on them to decide. I know board has something different to say about it, but I don't. I do what I'm supposed to do within my range. So with that being said, though, my question, I forgot the question that I was going to ask, but it definitely was around that. So the certification process in order to become a life coach, how is that process different from the therapeutic process? So in order to become licensed with the therapy side for LPC, you have to, of course, get a master's, you have to do practicum, and you have to get 4,000 hours. And then, of course, you got to take your test. So the certification for the life coaching, how was that process?
It's kind of similar. Like you have a practicum and you have to have hours and there is testing. So, I mean, it's similar. The only difference with life coaching that it's unregulated. So pretty much anybody can certify, anybody can say they're certified, anybody can say that they're a life coach. Versus with a therapist, there's literally metrics that you have to meet in order for you to be able to say that you're a therapist.
So with that though, it's also sanctions that can happen to me or to other therapists if they're not abide by ethical or legal standards and stuff like that. Of course, you can get fined, you can get your license taken, you can get jail time and stuff like that. But are there any reprimands for a life coach if they? I don't even know if we can say malpractice if you tell somebody something that's unethical. Like what happens if a life coach tells somebody something that's not?
Because there's no regulation for them, technically it would just be between that individual and that coach. So there's not like a board that would be like, hey, you done this. You know what I mean? Because life coaching and like therapy, the challenge of it is that it's not an exact science, and that people are not monolithic. And so you try to figure out frameworks or modalities that may work. And because of that, with life coaching especially, there's no one to say like, oh, because he could have done everything according to, the guidelines of coaching, and it still turned out to be a bad situation. You get what I'm saying?
I got you.
Just like with a therapist, right? The same situation can happen. But the only difference is there is no board, or there's no sanctions. It would just have to be between that individual. I guess they could write a Yelp review.
So when you're talking about therapy, like from my side of the table, right? We got
Yeah.
so many research case studies, we got empirical evidence, we got different theoretical orientations, we
Yeah.
have different theorists, from way back when, we got some now, we
Yeah.
got so many different modalities to approach an individual, whether we're talking, being eclectic and pulling from different modalities and prescribing different treatment methods or interventions.
Mhm.
As a life coach, do you guys have that history to fall upon, or is it just the here and now? Let me help you with your situation, or let me help you get to this maximum potential that you're trying to reach.
I definitely think that it depends on the programming that you take, but I definitely think like there's like a neuroscience aspect. Life coaching is very heavy on neuroscience because it's all about those neural pathways and those beliefs, right? What is it? Unbreaking or breaking those limiting beliefs, So a lot of neuroscience. There are a lot of, even I would say, like even some psychology into it, like some like positive psychology, like some of the tenets of positive psychology are integrated into um, coaching, and also mindfulness, things like that. So, but that's even integrated into therapy now, mindfulness techniques, you know what I mean? So it's like, there are certain things, it's kind of like the eclectic that you can pull for certain things, but I know that it's not as in depth as, CBT or Jungian psychology or DBT, you know what I mean? Like it's not as deep as that, or brain spotting, like all of that, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely
Yeah.
not that.
Okay. So you are a celebrity life coach. How'd you get to, I guess working with celebrities opposed to this guy on Broad Street or Main Street? Like, how'd you exceed to that maximum level within yourself to even have like celebrity publicists and people reaching out to you to assist their clients?
Um, So I do work with the guy on Broad Street and Main Street. I just use celebrity for the sake of branding, but I do have celebrity clients and have had celebrity clients. One in particular, it was through a relationship. Somebody was like, "Hey, Pervis, can you talk to this person?" I didn't know who the person was, and whatever I said resonated with the person, and then it turned into that. You know what I mean? And then from there, it's referrals, and we were on TV together. You know what I mean? Like they talked about, how I helped them through a dark place. Um, yeah, that's kind of how it happens. Referrals, relationships.
No, I mean, hey, that's a good thing because that's how pretty much I was able to work with a couple, pro athletes and get in certain circles, as
Yeah.
far as speaking engagements and stuff like that, was just based on me being authentically me, but also being, a therapist or being an entrepreneur and just having that certain display, I guess, and people gravitated to it when they could have had any other therapist. And to be honest with you, like when it came to those situations, a couple of times that I did have like high profile or celebrity type, I tried my best to refer because I didn't want to bring a shadow to the entire field because I knew I was going to do it my way and, assist this client, the way that I know and I felt they can benefit from the process as a cohesive unit between the two of us. But it turned out well, but for me, I was like, oh, nah, I got another therapist for you. They'll be great for you because I know I didn't want that to happen. Like, oh man, I went to this guy and it was this experience, so I didn't
Yeah,
want the
you're
whole
dope though.
field.
But you're dope though. Like, never do that again.
Yeah, no. So I mean, it can go both ways, just
Yeah.
depending on the process. So I didn't want to be that guy. So
I get what you said, because you were more concerned about them getting the help that they need rather than it be about you being the person disseminating the healing, right?
Sure,
So I
yeah.
get that, right? And that's why you're the perfect candidate for it. That's why even with working with celebrities and helping them to build and process and things like that, I don't care that they're a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it's like that's great for branding purposes. That's great. They can pay the Venmo invoice. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. But other than that, it's that.
And that's the funny enough, that's what they said. Like, oh man, you ain't once mentioned my record or my profession. Like, no, you here because of dot dot dot. This is what we're gonna process. So
Yeah.
for me, it was, I'm helping you like I would help anybody else. So I guess it worked out. So if you wasn't doing life coaching, what else would you be doing?
I'd probably be a forensics profiler for the FBI.
Okay, why would you want to do that?
I'm obsessed with like crime shows or like forensic files. I'm obsessed with that show. Like I could see myself, and I'm also very discerning. Like I can look at a person and kind of tell certain things about them, and I feel like I could use those skills, in that space. I wouldn't necessarily want to deal with the dead bodies, but I feel like I could be the person to describe the serial killer or like what they think or how, certain attributes about them. I know that's pretty crazy, but yeah.
Nah, that's dope though. All right. So when it comes to life coaching, if you got this young high school kid that's now thinking about going into the field, what would you tell them about life coaching in a nutshell?
um, I would say to them, I would caution them not to do it. Actually, I think part of the benefits of me being successful as a life coach is that I've experienced a lot of life and meaning the bad side of life. I've experienced a lot of hardship, and I don't want a young person to go through what I've been through. And so I don't know if I would advise them to necessarily be a life coach, because I think part of the reason why I'm able to connect with people so quickly is because the pain. I know what that pain looks like. I know what that process looks like. But outside of that, um, I would say in being a life coach that you have to be very intuitive. You have to understand, you have to have active listening. You got to understand language. Like everybody has their own language, and you got to be able to understand that person's language to be able to connect with them. Um, and definitely it's not about you. It's about getting them to the places they need to get to. And it's about, yeah, so it's from a place of love. I love what I do. I love all of my clients, whether they're from all walks of life. I've had people from the adult entertainment industry to celebrities to everybody, as I'm sure you've had. And I love them all because I want them to I want them to live their best life.
Nice. So I'm a therapist with a therapist. Are you a life coach with a life coach or a therapist?
I am a life coach with a therapist, a whole therapist that that I try to see once a week.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no. So, is there anything else you want people to take away from life coaching? Because now, to be honest with you, you see it. I see it so much now on social media, and of course, like I said, it's so
How do
trendy
you
on.
feel? How do you feel as a therapist? Do you feel like it's infringing upon the work?
I don't. I think it's needed, and I think people can benefit from it. But I do think it should be a certain level of people displaying a difference. Like, like if it is a life coach that's not certified or not sanctioned and that's not a therapist, they should say, "Oh no, I'm just a life coach." But it's some people that are actually taking it and running with it, and it's, I guess, putting a dark cloud over what therapy is because they're not doing it correctly and they're not doing it, under any sanction. So the people who they're serving can view it as, oh no, this is what therapy is like. I'm not going to a therapist. So now, it can be an issue between going to an actual therapist. But overall, though, I think it can be beneficial. Like what you're doing, I think it can be beneficial because it's proven. You've done the work. You got certified. You got courses and case studies behind you and stuff like that. But the person that just said, "Oh, I'm a life coach," and because they been through a couple of different things without, I think that's unfair, and I think it could do damage, just based on
Absolutely.
not having the knowledge to properly assist somebody, just saying you're a life coach or going through, a certification that's not really valid. I think it could be detrimental to not only yourself and the profession, but of course the people that you're serving. But
Absolutely.
overall, though, I think it's good that people are branding themselves. The entrepreneur side of me saying, "All right, cool. If you can make it work, make it work." But the therapist side of me, ethically and legally and jurisdiction wise, I think it's tough. Just because people gonna come to you based on the presentation and based on what you're saying, and you can't really treat everybody. So I wouldn't want nobody to get hurt, um, whether that's emotionally or mentally, just based on those credentials being not what what somebody say they are.
And I answer to God, and I don't want to be responsible for that. But you know what I mean? So it's like for me, and I feel like there should be a collaboration and cohesiveness amongst us, right? So one of my clients in LA, actress Lisa Nicole Carson, she's diagnosed with bipolar disorder, right? She has a psychiatrist, she has a therapist, and she has a life coach. I'm the person that's helping her to live life. I'm helping her to build while she's going through that whole process. But we all work together. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I think that there's a place for all of that. And again, the mental health advocacy part of it. I am so quick on Clubhouse to be like, people ask me, they call me up and ask me a question. You know what? I actually think we should process that with a therapist. I'm such a proponent for therapists. And I actually feel like I look at what I do as like a gateway to therapy because I am always like, that's where you need to go. And so many people have gone to therapy because of the work that I've done. And so I'm pleased about that.
Now, that's amazing that you're able to do that. But of course, a lot of people aren't, putting themselves in that position to do that because they
They
want,
want to be.
they
Yeah.
want to be that last line. So speaking of that, how do you guys or you get paid? Like, because of course, as a therapist, we can take insurance, we can do EAP, we can do self-pay, we can, depending on what state you're in, we can barter. So how does life coaches get paid? Is it strictly self-pay cash only, or can I use my insurance?
So some insurances have what is known as a wellness fund. And because coaching is under the guise of wellness, they can pay out of that fund for sessions and then be reimbursed. That the fund will reimburse them. But most of all, it's self pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us what's next for you, man, before we wrap up.
I'm writing a new book. I'm excited about that. And
So before you get into the new book, drop a little bit on that your current book,
yeah,
which is a masterpiece.
thank you, brother. It's a thrival mode, and it's really, I feel like my life's mission was to write that book. My sole purpose in life was to write that book. But it's helped so many men in processing and developing language around their emotions and things that they've experienced. And because of that book, so many men are in therapy now. So the book is literally just pointing you in a direction of therapy, but it's giving them tools to do in the interim. Because I recognize that every man is not going to go to see a therapist. And so I wanted to write something that is practical that they could apply within their lives. And my prayer and I prayed over the book is that every man that read that book, they would at least go to one therapy session. But it's benefited a lot of men, a lot of women too, because it takes a deep dive into how we are as men emotionally. And yeah, it's been hugely successful, and I'm very grateful for it.
Nice. So the next one is coming. What's your plan for getting that out there?
Man, I'm just trying to. The Lord dropped something in my spirit. It was about. I was in a clubhouse room with Bashay. Do you know Bashay, right?
Yeah, that's my dude.
Yeah. So I was in a clubhouse room with Bashay, and seriously, for 2 weeks, the Lord kept saying, "Heal forward, heal forward, heal forward." I didn't know what that meant. Heal forward, heal forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the clubhouse room with Bashay, and Bashay said, "Yeah, men tend to heal retrospectively. Women tend to heal towards something." And as soon as he said it, I was like, that's what it means. Heal forward. And so a lot of men, we heal to repair, but we don't heal to build. and to build a new future. So like the book is about encouraging men that to get healing, but get the healing you need so that you can build towards something. Life is not over just because you repaired something.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be another masterpiece you're working with, man. That's real deep. I'm glad you're able to do that. So let me know as soon as it drop, as soon as you get your thoughts together on it, we're gonna put that out there. But I definitely appreciate you for stopping by, shedding light on, the life coaching and the difference of therapy. And I'm glad you were able to do it, being that you got both sides. You have a degree and, of course, the mental health side, but you're certified in life coaching. So your perspective is definitely wanted and understood. And you're not just a person throwing around a title. So I'm fortunate enough that you was able to at least answer some of the questions that, of course, other therapists have, other life coaches have, or somebody. Like I know several people now that are looking to get certified as a life coach. But, like, I didn't know where to send them because, it's life coaching. And I've seen so many other people with the life coaching title. I'm like, yo, where'd you get certified at? They're like, no,
But then they're whack too. But see, here's the thing, right? So like you're dope as a therapist, but that's part of the fact that you've been trained, right? But that's also part of the gift God gave you. And I think sometimes we don't count the anointing. There are some people who are anointed to be therapists. There are some people who are anointed to be life coaches. You know what I mean? Like not all therapists are created the same.
oh yeah, no, it's
You
definitely
know what
not
I'm
a
saying?
yeah, it's definitely not a monolith process. But like what I was saying though, like if I ask a therapist like, oh, how you became a therapist, they'd be like, oh, I got my master's at da 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 da, and then I got my hours and I took the test or whatever. Like it's empirical. Like you can see that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
very
I've
important.
asked several life coaches, like, yo, where you get certified at? I know somebody don't want to get it. It was like, oh no, I ain't get certified. Oh, so how you a life coach? And then they just go into it like, oh no, I've been helping people all my life and da da da. So to have it something more tangible, like, oh, go to this school or go take this course or get certified here, like it's a difference, I think, so I can send other resources there. But I wasn't able to find that. So, I'm lucky that you're one of those go-tos. You're the actual model. So I'm fortunate, man. And I definitely think people will be able to learn something from this interaction. Any last things you want to mention or any plugs? How can people find you and stuff like that?
Oh no, brother. I'm just honored to be here on here with you. I'm a fan of yours, and you know that. I love what you're doing, and I love seeing Black men in the mental health space, whether it is therapy, whether it's advocacy, whether it's coaching. I'm just so happy to see um, us be on here and not be intimidated by each other, but celebrating one another. So I'm
Definitely, man.
that.
We get it's enough space for everybody to eat, and it's definitely enough broken people for us to, work together and heal those people. So, like for me, I try to share as much as I can. Like I'm always referring people, like even though like I can see you, but nah, my man, he got an opening too. Because a lot of people platform is not as big as mine's, or it didn't take off like mine's did. So I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that I assist as many people as I can, because I don't take nothing for granted. I'm used to not having. So I got it. I want to make sure that everybody else can get some abundance as well. So I definitely appreciate you, man. Drop your tags, man. Where can they go and see that blue check?
At Pervis Taylor, PervisTaylor, and that's me on all platforms, Twitter, TikTok. I got a TikTok account too, Pervis Taylor 3. But yeah, at Pervis Taylor across all social media platforms.
Amazing. Oh, last question though. How'd you get that blue check? You've been working for a minute, so how'd that
Yeah,
come about?
that came from over 10 years worth of work. But I have a publicist, uh, and I guess Instagram, you gotta have enough articles for them to confer you to be an expert and what it is that you do. And I don't know the intricacies of it, but all I know is that she asked me for stuff and she sent it to them. And then next thing I know, I have blue check.
Hey, well, listen, you already know I'm proud of you. I definitely appreciate you, and we can continue to rock, man.